Hi you guys, welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker and welcome to show and tell number 81. I'm gonna make apologies now. I'm filming late in the day and they're out there doing yard work, the HOA landscaper people. So if you can hear this in the background, I'm incredibly sorry. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But they can't seem to figure out what day they're gonna be here. And that's always kind of fun. Been a pretty low-key week. Hasn't really been a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot to report. So, it's been cool. It's been really, really nice. It actually got down to, it was 46 when I got up the other morning. So, I'm pretty happy with that. I prefer colder weather. You can always add on more layers. You can only take off so much and still go outside of your house. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on the sofa this week. I didn't feel really bad or anything, but like not a high energy week for me. It's okay. It's okay. I do have good news though. Well, good news for me and for Pamela. I remade the shawl. Oh my goodness. So this is using Premier Basics in forest green and hazel. Now I did have to alter it to get the stripes to be even on the outside side. So I did have to take off one row of double crochet on the last side, and I did have to take out one. Is that all I took out? Maybe that's all I took out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay, so that's all I took out. So I had a hard time deciding how I was going to do the pockets, because when I was pulling yarn, I was like, ooh, it feels cold and it feels fall-like, and how cute would it be to have, you know, colors I don't normally wear a whole lot of, like fall palette, as a pocket shawl to wear with jeans and t-shirts, because I just got in some really cute, simple knit 3/4 length t-shirts. I don't normally wear full long sleeves. I prefer bracelet to 3/4 length because I don't like things falling down on my hands unless I'm exercising, in which case I do actually like the thumb hole. That's a whole thing. But yeah, I can't stand things that drop down and cover my hands. But I did have a slight seaming error. So my pocket actually perfectly hit where this color change was. And because it was needed to go into between the two colors, unfortunately kind of pulled back a little bit there, but super happy with the way this one turned out. Once again, still love the pattern, still think it's great. I think it's great by itself without the pockets. I love the basic eyelets, and I love the way she did the front loop, back loop edging on this. It's just one of those little details. Oh, the other thing I did change is, like I said last week with the one that didn't work out, I'm not a big fringe person. Part of it's having cats. Part of it is I like things to be easy launder, easy care. And if you throw those in the washer, they're going to get matty. I also tend to be very hard on a lot of my clothes. I'm not a very delicate person. I'm a little bit of a bull in a china shop kind of gal. So I did duplicate the outer front loop, back loop stitches down on the bottom just to give myself a foundation down here for the shawl. Also, I wanted to hide, you know, you get the jankies in between your color changes, even though they're perfect. And if you actually like lay it out, everything's perfectly even. When things start shifting, it kind of looks a little weird. So I did add some front loop, back loops down here on the bottom. I will link her introduction video down below where she's got the information about her video tutorial and her written pattern. I did go back and forth a couple of times between the written pattern and the written tutorial just to make sure I liked both, because the first time I just used the written pattern. I'm a written pattern kind of gal. I'm pretty decent at following written patterns, but I did want to make sure that I thought the tutorial was good too, and I could comment on it and make commentary on it. So I did that too, but I'm so excited. It turned out perfect. I need to get some good pictures of it, but I can make things right sometimes. I did, you know, mess up my mental math when I was figuring out the stripes, but que sera, sera. That is what it is. I decided to try to get fancy with it and ended up having to, yeah. So the other thing I finished was I worked up my Ella Rae yarn from my Mary Maxim crochet club. I have not blocked this yet. This is a basic lemon peel stitch in a scarf. This is, when it's blocked, will measure out to right at about 5 feet. And this one is for a not quite preteen, so it'll be a perfect size scarf for her. But this is what I mean where, you know, sometimes you need to pick the right pattern for the yarn. This looks like cascading waterfalls of color. And I love the way it turned out. I love the way it looks. It's really, really funky, cool. The colors were fantastic. It's actually showing up a little bit brighter on my end of the camera than it is. It's a little bit more dusty, and I think part of that is where you've got the halo from the wool in person, whereas here you're just, at this distance, you're just seeing the color. But it turned out fantastic. Could not be happier with it. Love the way it worked up. Love the way it feels. Once again, you can tell it's wool, but it's not, I can't wear that. That's itchy wool. That's bad wool. It's a very nice quality wool, but it's very definitely wool and not superwash wool. But it's not rustic at all. It just feels woolly. Obviously I did not use the pattern, and that was the one pattern I thought I would use. When I go to discuss this in more detail next month, we will, talk about what happened there, but I did originally start this. So this was Ella Rae Unique in Iridescent Sky. So 2 balls of that. That was really nice. That was very quick and easy. I love the lemon peel stitch. If you've been with me much at all the last 2 years, you are very familiar with the fact that I tend to make a lot of lemon peel dishcloths just because it's a nice, easy stitch. I also like combining cake yarns and doing lemon peel blankets and doing 2 at a time. It just makes such a nice fabric. It's so simple, and but it's so textural at the same time. It gives your eyes something yummy to look at, and it's completely simple and easy. Like, it's one of those you can throw it in a box for 6 months and totally not touch it and come back and know exactly where you were, because you look down and go, oh, that's a single. I need to double in the next stitch. And just, whee. My next finished object is a toasty ear warmer. This is using some of the scraps from the sweater I shared, Denim and Color sweater I shared last week. I did wash and dry this morning. Okay, so, like, let's be real. I actually made this morning, and then threw it in with a load of wash. I'm not unhappy with how it looks after a single wash, and it really did not shrink at all. Once you hit that, like, 50-50 blend with cotton, the cotton really doesn't shrink that much. Now, with repeated washing and drying, and this was permanent press with a permanent press dryer cycle. With repeated washing and dryings, like, it might start to shrink, but I'm okay with one wash. I am a little concerned. I do see where we can get some pilling. I don't know if you can, like that spot right there, right where my thumb is there. Those are spots that will pill. So, this may have to be wash on delicate air dry for me, which is fine. I don't mind that so much. I will have the pattern I used linked down below, but I had to add a row of half doubles to both sides, and I did a decrease right here on both sides because it wasn't really covering my ears, and I really wanted, you know, an ear warmer. So I needed that extra. But I like it. It's cute. It's very soft. It did wash up incredibly soft. If you got any of that yarn on clearance, like, you already know how soft that feels, and it's just as yummy after washing it. So there's that. Ooh, where do we go next? Let's talk about WIPs. So just a quick check-in with you guys here. Last week, when y'all saw this last, I had just finished the ribbing. Now I've got a couple inches of the stockinette. This is a sock head beanie for my husband, and we are also going to be doing a review of the yarn itself. So far, so good. It's incredibly soft. The more you work with it, the softer the fabric seems to feel, which is kind of weird. But this is the new Hobby Lobby hand-dyed. This one is denim. Once again, I've been really loving the blues. When I do a sock head beanie, most of the time I make it a more fitted length instead of the full, like, I think for this size, it's like 13 inches before you start the decreases. Just to get, nobody in my family really wears, use super slouchy hats. And this one is a very slouchy hat if you make the full length hat. It's designed to use most of a 100-gram ball. But I do really like, it's the same thing about the Hill 60 pattern I like so much. I do like a substantial ribbing that you can flip up. So I know a lot of people have been making the Ross hat pattern, and that's one of those, I said when I was talking about that, it really didn't need its own review. Like, everybody pretty much already knew how good it was. But I said, this is one of those patterns that is great to have in your hip pocket because you can alter it yourself to either fit for you or to add design elements to it. This is one of those design elements you could very super easily add to the Ross hat and just extend the ribbing so you've got enough to fold up if you just want that look too. So keep that in mind. You don't have to use the same pattern I do to get the same kind of look I do. I just have this printed sitting on my desk at all times, so it was a very easy grab your stitch count. But yeah, so far so good on this. I've got a couple more inches. I tried it on his head last night, so I think I'm gonna need, I'll try it on again when my full length is 8 inches and see where we are. I mean, I've used a decent amount of the yarn, but I'm not at the point like my cake's totally falling apart or anything. And I'm using one of my T-Doddles Maker of the Month Club bags because they're perfect. They're so perfect for this. My other WIP is my other Mary Maxim of the Month Club Crochet Club yarn. And I'm doing a different pattern with this too. This will be a cowl. I am loving the stitch pattern. This is called like the Tilly Crochet Cowl or something like that. I will have it linked down below, but I think this needs to be a shawl. So this might be something I have to come back to and remake with a different yarn, like maybe 2 of my cupcakes or mandalas held together and give that off stripe thing. But I'm loving how this is working up. This is incredibly soft once again. You can definitely tell it's wool, but even with moisture, I mean, I'm a sticky people. There's no itching really to it, but once again, you can feel the texture of the wool. But enjoying how that striping, it's not a perfectly even stripe all the time. Like now all of a sudden my pinks are getting really tiny, but they were a little bit wider here. This green was super wide, but this is already transitioning out here. I'm really enjoying the way that that looks. But this will be a Mobius cowl. I think I'm going to end it as a Mobius. I think. I don't know. I haven't made my final. So that's kind of how it'll look. But I love the automatic border it has. With the almost scalloped edge. And that's just innate to the stitch pattern. So that's actually kind of cool. Kind of digging that. All right. Acquisitions. Speaking of Christy Cook T. Donald's maker bag of the month. This is my bag for this month. This is the Sleeping Beauty print. And I had to double check that I wasn't like looking at it upside down or something and it really was Princess and the Pea, but no, it's definitely a Sleeping Beauty print. I love this collection. And on top of how cute this collection is, look at this inside fabric. I love it. I keep saying it over and over again. And I'm sure Christy's sick of hearing it. But I love her taste in fabric. I just love it. She picks like the sweetest fabrics every month. I already got my Halloween month ordered, my October bag ordered. I can't wait to see what she comes up with for that. So we also got a string of fairy lights with a little battery pack. We got a tube of fairy dust. Got a nice iridescent peridot green. Because, I mean, come on. Who doesn't have enough, you know, craft herpes floating around? I don't know why I bother sticking these back in the little packets. I do open these before I bring them down here, and I sit there and squee about them for about like 5 minutes, and then I have to put them away. Otherwise, they'll get incorporated into projects before I can share with you guys. But I keep putting them back in the little bag she sends them in. All right. These are our maker charms. How sweet are those? Yeah. You know, they're just some people that like, you just totally dig their style. Their style just totally gels with yours. And this is the Bigelow Sweet Dreams tea. And of course that didn't like focus, but this is a chamomile and soothing mint. Totally down for that. I've actually been drinking this week Celestial Seasonings Fireside Vanilla. That's been really nice. That's been my afternoon cup of tea. Okay. Let's get these items out of the way here so I don't knock them over. So the last thing is, I did some card making this week. And I'm saving this for last because this is the least liked portion of my videos. And so, like, get the yarny stuff out of the way. Now I'll show you some cards. Eventually, I'm going to figure out how to take photos of these. That way I can just, like, do, like, a photo collage and show you all of them at once. And then you don't. But I'm going to take advantage of this time while we do kind of like a flip through here to talk to you guys about some of the things that I keep getting questioned about on here. So, number one, before we get started, this is multiple different Doodlebug collections. Like I had a sheet of this here, a sheet of this there, a package of the die cuts, a package of the stickers. And the oldest date I've noticed on any of the packaging is from 2004. So, I mean, these are like, some of these were from a value kit. Some of these were gotten at yard sales or were hand-me-downs that I received. And some of these are bits of collections that I've purchased. So, yeah. But I did not come by card making naturally. My husband got me a Cricut mostly because he was thinking he could use it to make frisket stencils. I figured out the word eventually. For model building. Like, that's what he was kind of thinking, but like, he's not really crafty. He does do some things, but like, he was thinking if he got me one, like, I would get primary use out of it. I'd get a lot more use out of it than he would, but it would be something nice to have because he could use it. And it's lived in the craft room ever since he bought it. So, like, paper crafting is 100% something he got me into accidentally. And he only has himself to blame. I came already equipped for the yarn stuff, but it's his fault I got into paper crafting. I got into cards. So ironically, like, none of these are made using my Cricut. All of these are made actually cutting out paper and doing paper layering, which is what this kind of card making is. There's die cut cards, there's stamping, there's paper layering. I do paper layering for some reason. Not to say that I haven't used my Cricut to make like ephemera pieces and stuff in the past, but oddly enough, I find cutting paper relaxing, whereas I hate cutting fabric. I got into it very heavily though by watching Mimi Made It, Jess Crafts, and some of Christy Marcotte's videos. Now, I love Christy Marcotte's cards, but I like somebody talking me through their process because I sit there and knit and crochet while I watch these kinds of videos. And I really like somebody who talks me through their process. So Jess Crafts is really my preferred 6x6 paper pad card maker. And Doodlebug is one of the companies. She does a lot. She does a lot of donation cards specifically for children's charities. And as you can tell, these are like some of the cutest paper collections ever. But I prefer cutting into 12x12 versus 6x6. And I watch a lot of how many can I make May videos. And she walks you through how she deconstructs like a card pack or a scrapbook kit. And it gives you a really good idea of how to think about your paper. And if you really want to get the most out of it, how do you do that? And how do you need to think about, you know, using the entire collection? And to me, that's just absolutely brilliant. I, for something like this, went through, took all of the cut apart pages and cut them apart. By the way, I actually use Nuvo drops to like give their eyes some dimension. Just adding something extra in from the last set I shared. So I go through and I do all of my cut aparts. And I'm trying to use up these first and then moving on to more of like the Call Me Crafty Owl sheet load of cards. I'll move into more of those kind of things. Not that I don't, like this is a Call Me Crafty Owl sheet load. That's what this was based off of. But I did alter my numbers for 5x7. I have so much of this paper. I'm really trying to use it up. So I am doing a lot of 5x7 cards this time instead of my 4 1/4 by 5.5 A2 size cards. But I think I've only got one set of cut aparts left. I may actually have no more left. I may have finally used them all. So I will go into more like stamp sentiments and maybe some more die cut elements on my cards for interest for the rest of my Halloween cards. I believe I'm up to 65 cards done. There are duplicates of a lot of these because I have a lot of this stuff. I have a lot of it. It's been collected over time. But this kind of card making really does not take a whole lot. I use a paper trimmer. I have the collection I want to use. I do incorporate a lot of solid cardstock, and I always have some kind of embellishment, gemstones or stickers or something like that, that I add in. Like these are Hobby Lobby enamel dots on this one. I did not burnish that down and really press these on. I just kind of dropped them on. But I really, that's all I use. I use a paper trimmer. Now, I do prefer the Fiskars rotary paper trimmers. I have one of the super basic ones, and then I do have the big heavy duty Cuts Mat Board one as well. And I do use that for cutting my card bases. But, I mean, scissors, foam tape, double-sided tape, a good paper adhesive that won't warp your paper, some small embellishments, and that's really it. I mean, for all the supplies I have, I do very minimalist tool card making. So look at, in particularly, Jess Crafts and how few extra things she uses. And that's kind of where I get it from, because she was one of the first people I followed to make cards. So I still kind of stick in that vein. But she does do some beautiful stamping, and she colors in stuff like that. She does a lot of alcohol, Copic marker coloring with her stamps. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. But I would definitely say Christy Marcotte, May Made It, Jess Crafts, Bourbon Creek Crafts. She shows you a lot of how she does stuff. And then the sketches from Call Me Crafty Owl. Once again, fairly minimalistic. Not a whole lot of you have to have XYZ in order to make her cards. She gives you, over the course of the month, frequently she gives you alternatives. Like if she uses a I can't think of a good example off the top of my head, but like if she's using a specific kind of die cut or something that she's cut out, she gives you alternatives for other things you can do that tend to favor more minimalist things. So once again, I am fairly minimalist when it comes to my card making, tool wise. Now I have amassed and collected ridiculous amounts of stuff, purchasing here, there, and everywhere, but getting started, you really don't need that much. But yeah, go check out those channels. Let me know what you think down below. Is there anybody, I know a couple of you guys have gotten into card making. Is there anybody in particular you guys like to watch and like to see their process? I really am more of a I like to see the process, and I like to hear about the process. So I will also link Christy Marcotte down below. Like I said, her 6x6 paper pads are fantastic. They're beautiful cards, but it's set to music, and I like people talking to me. But it takes a lot. I mean, even with the sped up videos, some of these are 45-minute videos. So to talk through that process, that is a lot of talking. I mean, you see me in a 30-minute video constantly having to take sips of my drink. I couldn't imagine talking through a voiceover for a 45-minute card tutorial kind of video, how parched your throat would be at the end of that. So I don't blame her at all for not doing a verbal walkthrough with her stuff, but she is very good at showing you what tools she used, what supplies she had, the stamp pads she used, things like that. Like, she shows you everything at the beginning and talks at the beginning and then starts the music. So, all right, you guys, we'll have links to patterns, links to Pamela's channel, links to the card makers I mentioned, links to Christy Cook's channel and Etsy shop. If you have been a regular commenter on my videos, make sure that you check out Saturday's video. There might be something interesting stuck in that video. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I look forward to seeing you real soon. I love you guys. Take care.